Hi friends, welcome to the Scapegoat Club. My name's Jess. In this video I'm going to talk about what happens when our parent or parents respond to us cutting them off with silence. Oddly enough, it can be confusing, so let's talk about that. Hi folks, thanks for being here. My name's Jess. I'm a therapist. I am a coach. I talk a lot about estrangement, cutoffs, difficult families, and this video is going to be about this really challenging space, what can be a very challenging space when we cut off our parents, we ask for space, and we get just that. We get absolute radio silence. The tumbleweed rolls through town. And I want to talk about it because it can be actually really confusing for us as we navigate that, and that can cause a lot of conflicting emotions. So I really want to dive into it. I'm also going to start off with my video, like hopefully the rest of my videos. If this doesn't apply to you, or you don't find it helpful, or you're like, you know what, Chess, I cut off my family, I didn't hear from them again, and it was absolutely what I wanted, and it was the best thing ever, and happy days, then good for you. Then this might not be the video for you. But for some of us, for a lot of us, it can actually be really just another minefield of emotions. So I want to talk about that. So the first thing I want to say is that I want to talk to this piece that, yes, we are asking for space from our parent or parents. We are wanting to have a break from the difficulty and the challenges. Maybe there's conflict in the relationship. We just got to the point where we can't do it anymore. So yes, we do want that space. And so when we ask for it and we get it, then there is that relief almost of like, oh, thank God, I just don't have to deal with that crap anymore. And so that is one of the emotions. That's a very valid emotion. The challenge is, though, that it can also come along with other emotions such as sadness and maybe guilt and maybe some shame as well. So there can be real sadness, real sadness that, yeah, we asked for this space and our parents, that was it. They were just parents, that was it. They were just gone. And it can remind us of old wounds, basically old experiences where we wanted our parents to be there for us and they just weren't. And it can, even though we asked for it in this situation, it can still feel like it can still have echoes of those same feelings that we had when we were younger, where we wanted a support, we wanted our parents to really be there and see us and support us, but they weren't able to. And from my experience and from people I've worked with, it can be exacerbated when we try and explain why we want to have space from our parent. So if we say to them something like, I'm really struggling, I need some space, I'm having some difficulty at my end, perhaps we're even sharing that we're having some mental health problems or something like that, because of the relationship, or maybe we're having mental health problems that are being made worse by the fact that we have people in our lives who really aren't able to support us in the way that we need. So when we share and say, actually, I'm not doing well, and as a result of that, I'm sorry, but I just need some space from the relationship. When we get that space, what we can actually feel and what we can hear in our heads is, I reached out for help and I shared with this person that I wasn't doing well, and their response was, okay, I'm out of here. It was nothing. It wasn't like, I'm sorry that you're struggling. I'm really sorry that you're going through that. There isn't that empathy piece. There isn't that coming to us and us saying, I understand that you're struggling. I'm just going to take a little time out. I'm going to come back to some of the other emotions, but this seems like a natural space. If there are any parents watching this video who are like, okay, I've been cut off, and Jess, what the hell are you talking about? Why would my kid say they don't want to speak to me and then be sad when I don't speak to them? How should I navigate this? Well, I hope what I explained there might give you a bit of insight as to why it can be really difficult from the child's perspective, the person cutting off. But so if you are navigating this and you're like, well, what should I do? I personally think, and I'd love to hear comments from other people who've cut offs, because there might be different thoughts on this, but I personally think it's okay to say and to basically acknowledge the cutoff. And actually, as I say this out loud, I do think it's helpful. From my perspective, I think it would have been really helpful, and from other people I'm working with, I think they would have benefited from the person who was being cut off by saying, I hear you, thank you for letting me know, I'm sorry you're not doing well, please let me know in future. I will respect your boundaries. Please let me know in future if there's a time that we can talk, because I'd love to be able to support you. In that way, the person that we're asking for space from, and we're communicating, look, there's a real problem in the relationship for me here, by that person acknowledging and saying, I see you and I'm sorry, and that empathy, that goes such a long way. I can't overemphasize how important that is. So if you are struggling with this, if this is something you're navigating, and then I'd love it if someone kind of takes that piece on board and is able to run with it. So coming back from the kid's perspective and these emotions, so we've got maybe some relief that we've got some space, but we've got this real sadness and this abandonment, potentially kind of feeling like, oh yeah, I'm on my own again. We can feel very, very lonely and isolated. And there's grief around that. There can be a real kind of mourning piece around, yeah, again, I communicated something really difficult to my parent, and yeah, again, I'm on my own. And yes, we did ask for it. We did say that's what we wanted. But I'm going to come back to this piece that we don't estrange. I feel I have a lot of pushback on this, but I genuinely feel that most children the vast majority of children do not estrange from their parents without a really valid reason and without really hurting. And so there's this piece that it's really a last resort, and it's not what we would ever have wanted, but it feels like the best choice that we have in the moment. And a part of that feeling that that's our best choice is a kind of a grief and a loss phase around accepting our families and these relationships for the imperfect things that they are, and potentially even very flawed relationships and damaging relationships that they can be. So that grief, that loss, that's a real void and a gap in our lives. And so if you're going through the estrangement piece, please be kind to yourself, and hopefully you can realize that you are dealing with something that's akin to the death of a family member. It's deep, it's big, and it needs time and space to heal. And the last piece I wanted to speak to is almost kind of shame from the child's perspective around having all these conflicting emotions. Because especially if we've come from a family where we haven't really been seen, we haven't been validated, and maybe we're told that we're oversensitive, or that we just aren't good enough, we aren't right, we're just not quite, we're lacking somewhere. What we can do and how we can interpret that in our heads, we question ourselves and we don't have confidence in ourselves. And so I think when we come across these really difficult and conflicted and complicated situations where we have all these very valid but conflicting emotions, we can internalize that. We can turn that back into looking at ourselves going, well, if you're confused about the cutoff, then Chess, what were you doing? Do you really know what you feel? Do you really know, did you really make the right decision? And then we can almost feel ashamed of ourselves for feeling all these different things all at the same time. And so I just want to speak to that piece and say, shame is a very, very damaging emotion, and it can really keep us isolated, keep us locked away. And so if you are feeling a lot of emotions, then from me to you, you're not alone. You are not weird. You are not the only person. This is a complex situation, and however you're feeling, it's valid. The way you're feeling is valid, and adding shame on top of that is like putting the lid on the pressure cooker, and it's just gonna make things worse. It's just gonna help have things fester and really not help us move things. So if you are feeling that shame piece, then I encourage you to talk to someone, reach out to a friend. There's support groups, and there's obviously the Scapegoat Club. This is what we're here for. If you want some extra personal support, drop me a line, we can do some coaching. I'm still navigating how we can have regular meetings, but that's all on the radar as well. So please drop me a comment below, or drop a comment and ask other people what they think. And there's a lot of very supportive people around here who are really in the same boat. So let's all just talk about it and work through it together. As always, thank you so much for your time. Please take care of yourselves, and I'm gonna talk to you again soon. Please take care, my friends. Bye for now.